Oh, hey there, audit and fraud friends and family. Listen, a routine payment, a familiar face, but somehow the balance just didn't add up. Look, this week we're going to talk about a story where professional trust meets personal transactions. And boy, does it get personal. You're going to want to stick around for this one. How does a simple act of goodwill turn into financial oversight? And what happens when the numbers start to tell a different story from what they really should? I don't know, but you're about to find out. Join us for a discussion on a situation that blurs the lines between trust and transactions. And it reminds us that sometimes the smallest detail can have the biggest implications. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right. Hey, friends. Thank you for joining us this week. Listen, did you guys miss us while we were gone? We were gone 1 week, and April was just a busy month for me. I traveled every single week in April, and sometimes I was in 2 cities in 1 week. And now it's May, and it's Internal Audit Awareness Month. So happy Internal Audit Awareness Month. Stay tuned. We got a special announcement coming for you guys, specifically for internal auditors for this month. You guys have seen when sometimes I've given away ethics courses for free for you all. Well, we've got something real special coming this month, and you're going to want to wait for it. I'm not going to announce it today on the Friday Fraudster. I may do it on May the 4th because May the 4th be with you. But today, it's not just me. We've got two people with us today, and you're going to want to stick around because they're two of your favorite people, the people you actually come to see. No one comes to see me. And Christine might tell us something special about where she was the last couple of weeks because she did something kind of fun.
Oh, yeah. It was fun. It was a very tight turnaround in Austin. But I was very fortunate. America's Credit Unions reached out and I got to sit on a panel to talk about audit, risk assessments, and training. So it was pretty cool. I got to meet some really nice people, as always.
I wasn't talking about that.
Oh,
the other thing.
What other thing?
Wait, didn't you go to the whatchamacallit, the NFL?
Oh, yes. I got back from Austin and I got to go. It was I don't travel as much as you guys do. I was at the NFL draft because I do live like 20 minutes away from Green Bay. But I was spoiled because I got to be in one of those nice tents where I was dry and I had food and drinks that were provided. So I was very fortunate. I got invited to that. So I went for Friday night. I only paid $40 for parking and we only had to walk 2 blocks. So,
that sounds like a lot.
Well, you got to understand, Green Bay is like regular size blocks, not city blocks. Like we're not walking like in New York.
Okay.
So no, it was a nice lifetime experience if it never comes back. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was just a whole bunch of people hanging out. And it was all right.
Well, that sounds like a fun time to me. So I just thought that everybody would, want to hear that you went to the NFL draft. Well, and then the other thing that you went to about audit and risk assessments and stuff like that in Austin, Texas. I mean, that's kind of important to what we do as auditors, right?
You can see where my the fun things I do. But no, I mean, the draft they had a lot of activities. Like there were people that I had gone with that did Like you could go behind the scenes, like you got to walk through the tunnels of Green Bay, and they brought you into some areas that you normally don't get to. They did have like a historical thing that was there, so you got to see every single Super Bowl ring that was ever made. They always have the NFL. They have the NFL experience. I know Green Bay has they're very family focused on their NFL games. So like they've got this big play area for kids and everything else. So it was fun to see that many people show up. It essentially, they said, tripled or doubled. So the people that were there doubled the size of the population of Green Bay.
Nice.
So,
all right, so look.
Sorry, day one, there was only one arrest.
Well, we've only got one arrest to talk about today, too. But Thomas, but Thomas, what are you up to, man?
Nothing near as fun as that.
I know, right?
I've just been trying to go everywhere and show off audit leverage and just try to keep awake and sane. I don't know if I'm successful with either one, but
and by the way, speaking of audit leverage, is the #1 AI system for internal auditors. It helps you from audit planning all the way to audit reporting, and it's like magic. Contact us if you want a demo. Okay, so listen, let me ask you guys. When is the last time you've actually received a check for something?
Last month.
Me too.
Okay, a check in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
Mine came from the state of Wisconsin, so that's understandable.
Oh, yeah, well, states, yeah.
I've got a client that's still stuck in the 1950s, and so they still print out checks and put them in the mail, and then you hope you get them.
Right. Yeah. I got a check in the mail. Actually, it's still in my mailbox, but I got a check in the mail last week too. And you hear so many stories that we have here about mailbox theft and stuff like that. So it is kind of a concern that people are still sending checks.
Well, and not just the mailbox. I've mentioned it before. Here in Houston, the FBI has raided at least one, if not more, postal offices because there was check fraud and some of that going on inside the post offices. So yeah, it's not just at your mailbox; it's all the way through the entire system.
Yeah, you're right. That happened in Montgomery, Alabama, at my mom's, the one that services my mom's house. They caught people stealing at the Postal Service distribution center.
Yeah. I had a client that had several checks stolen, and then they were even like rewritten over and edited and some of that. So they closed that bank account. They opened another account, and before a single check could get cleared, they had another one stolen for that new account from the exact same post office. And that's how they figured out, okay, it's the post office. And they had to open up a third account because of all of that. So yeah, it's ridiculous.
Wow. And if you remember the story from last week, they were actually stealing mail and then getting credit cards and then going and stealing the credit cards out of the mailbox. It wasn't checks, but it was credit cards. Yeah. So now let me ask, I see Carol is here today and there are a few other people here. So let me ask you guys, when's the last time you got a check? And are you concerned about checks? Because if you remember back in the day, before everything went digital, checks were more secure. Everybody wanted a check because we were afraid of going online. We were afraid of the internet. And now people seem to be afraid of the internet. But are we regressing? I hope not, because I want my payments to hit and then the cash to be in my hand or the cash to be in my account the same day. I don't want to have to deal with checks and then the holds and the lags. But man.
Well, to speak on that, Rob, I know there is software. There's some financial institutions that use it. I know my sister uses it for the company that she works for. It's called Positive Pay because they've had that issue where their mail gets stolen. So now they actually she gets notifications when a check tries to clear their business account and she has to okay it within so much time or it gets rejected.
Yep. Gotta love Positive Pay. I'm telling you. So here's the thing, then. We know that strangers steal your checks all the time from the mail because some people are just corrupt and just want to steal. But what if it's your friend or maybe not even a friend. What if it's a coworker or somebody that works for you? Before I go there, anybody ever had a friend steal their checkbook? I guess that's really not a friend if they steal your checkbook. But anybody had a friend steal your checkbook before?
My wife did before we got married. Does that count? Only she didn't steal it. It was more of I bounced a check. She said, "I'm taking over your account so it doesn't happen again."
Okay. So that was actually a help then. That was a good help. Yeah. That one is understandable.
Have you had anybody steal a checkbook from you? I feel like out of all of us, you've got some of the crazier stories.
Not personally, but one of my cousins, another cousin stole his checkbook when we were younger. All we had were checks back then. I remember I was 16 or 17 and I'm sitting at my cousin's house and he's looking around. Hey man, have you seen my checkbook? No. Did you take my checkbook? No. And I had taken it, but it was another cousin that had taken it and went on a brief shopping spree. I just,
And then trying to remember what the last check was that you wrote so you didn't accidentally put a stop payment on that one.
Right.
Struggle is real.
And for those of you who have never had to deal with checks, count your blessings because it can be horrible. Now, I will say there was one time in my audit career where I was working for a bank and I was like the number 2 in the audit department. And we got a call one day from the deposit operations group and the mortgage servicing group where they collected mortgage payments and applied them to people's accounts. And I'll just cut a long story short. Somebody was stealing the checks that were coming in and were washing the pay to the order of name off of the checks and depositing them into her own account. We eventually called her. She eventually got arrested. Perp walked her out of the place. I don't know if she went to jail, but I know she had to pay restitution. But checks can be a very interesting thing, even today still.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, if you give an employee a check as payment for hours worked, would you really? I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this one. This one is so clunky. Would you expect that employee to be able to withdraw more money from your account than what's written on the check? That's what I'm trying to say.
Say that one more time.
If you pay an employee by check, when you go to reconcile your bank account, you expect the amount that you have written the check for to be the amount that's withdrawn from your account.
Yeah.
Would you ever expect
how the math works?
Yeah. Would you ever expect there to be more money withdrawn than what you've written on the check?
No. I would hope not. Because then you're going back to what Thomas was talking and check washing.
Yeah.
Which that would be an issue.
So imagine the surprise of the business owner in today's story when she wrote a check to an employee. And then she saw other payments come out of her bank account with that employee's name next to them. And she knew that she didn't write any checks to this employee for this amount. What would you do if that happened to you?
I'd be giving her a call.
Yeah, I'd be giving her a call, but I'm reminded of other stories that you've covered in the past. And the last thing you want to do is fire her. You don't want to jump the gun and fire them yet, right? You want to maybe talk to her, but also do a little research to see, is there more than just what you know? Like do some deep dive, look at your bank accounts and such before you because if you fire them, then you're not going to get much information out of them. But we've seen other cases where it ended up being this huge, massive amount of fraud, but they wisely didn't fire them at first, so that way they could do more investigation and they could get more information and kind of almost let them hang themselves, as my father used to say.
Okay, so in today's story, a business owner wrote a check to one of her employees. She wrote it on February 1st. It was for services performed in January. Then she turned around on March 1st and wrote her for services performed in February. And then she went to check her bank account and she noticed 5 different charges. None of them she made, but it had her employee's name associated with them. And so she was scratching her head trying to figure out, why are there payments for cell phones and public storage units and stuff like that hitting my account under my employee's name? And she couldn't really figure it out at first. That's odd, right?
I'm wondering how much help she got from her financial institution to help her figure out these payments. I wouldn't, like, if I didn't have like the back end things to look at, you really don't get that information a whole lot from your online banking.
Well, but I did see where there was one, what was it, Verizon charges. There's a couple of Verizon bills she paid, and the owner's like, I don't have anything with Verizon. So that probably helped.
Oh, I see what she did.
Right there.
Yeah, so she just utilized her boss's account number and routing number. These were all electronic, like ACH payments she sent.
Aha. There we go.
Which this hopefully, I don't know, never mind. There's some regulation that's coming down next year for ACH, but I don't know if it would have caught this.
So here are the payments right here. There was $100 to Verizon web pay. Then there was FPL, which is Florida Power and Light. That's the power company in Florida, $88.83. And then check out this public storage, though. This is the one that got me, because on February 24th, 3 public storage charges, $366, $260, and $217. Now, I can tell you, with the amounts being that large, either she had 3 really large units, or she was behind several months and she needed to catch up. And she did this so that her stuff wouldn't go into repossession with the storage unit.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I'm going to guess it's for February rent, because it says 25/02/24, unless that's just the payment, like that it replicates the payment date.
Yeah, but that's crazy. Think about that. That's what, almost $900 for a storage unit?
And that has to be a big, I mean, I don't know how much storage units are by you guys, but those have to be pretty big.
That has to be multiple units, because even the largest units are only like maybe a couple $100 a month. So that's got to be multiple units. I don't know. That's insane.
Well,
So
you also, looking at those dates, it was February 24th and 28th. The 24th is a Monday. I almost wonder if she didn't process these on a Friday for the 21st, which happened to clear on the 24th, and then process it again on the 28th. So she was waiting. I don't know if she was thinking, everybody's out of the office, I can process this and nobody will notice. But it kind of makes me wonder about that timing, because everything was within just a few days, basically 1 week.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Well, so the boss said, I don't have anything with Verizon. This is weird. And then she noticed her employee's name next to them based on the documents that we just showed. So now she's a little upset about what her employee is doing. And then the employee contacts her. She put a stop payment on the employee's last check because she found out she was stealing from her. And so the employee called her and said, why did you put a stop payment on my check? Like, what kind of crap is that?
I would think that would be your sign that she figured it out.
That's what I thought too. Like, why would you contact her? I would be trying to, I don't know.
Get out of Dodge?
Well, as a matter of fact, she was trying to get out of Dodge. She was supposed to be moving to Alaska, of all places. Oh, you didn't see that one?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So she was supposed to be moving to Alaska very, very soon. So the business owner said, you know what? I need to go to the police. And she handed the detectives all of the evidence and they started detecting. And when the detectives started detecting, they said, ooh, we've got to go get her because they got wind that she was leaving too. And then they went and arrested her. I think it was the day before she was supposed to leave and go to Alaska.
Okay. I know we're sitting here and we're talking about all this fraud. We're talking about her moving to Alaska. Like she's been found out. Rob, you haven't told them how much this was over, did you?
Oh, you know what? I have not said how much it was, nor have I said what this woman did for a living. Because here's where the red flags really come into play. This was all over $1,033. You heard me, people. We talk millions of dollars here usually. $1,033. And get this, the woman who allegedly, because everything's alleged right now, right? She's just been arrested because the detective said that there's enough information to arrest her. The woman who allegedly did this is a medical doctor, a certified medical doctor. And this was at a medical clinic down in Jupiter, Florida. Some of you may know where Jupiter is. $1,033.
It was the total of the charges that you showed us on the screen.
Yeah, that was all of it. That was everything.
People on LinkedIn are laughing. They got the laugh emoji popping up when I said $1,033. Now,
Well, and here I broke out my calculator because I was afraid I was going to be missing like a $5.35 charge from a local gas station or something. I don't know.
So Ann is here, and Ann says, I witnessed a similar thing in one of my past lives. The MD's personal assistant would take a request for an impress to the MD to sign. And when he was done, she would add a couple zeros just before sending the accounts to office for processing. Now, here's what's funny though. And this was an actual MD.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the assistant. This was an MD. Now, we do have a few things that are kind of sketchy red flags here. Because even though she was a medical doctor by certification and by trade and by education, she was working as the director in the medical facility. Now, that's not totally unusual, but I think the directors of medical facilities make a little bit less than the actual attending physicians.
Yeah.
So, I assume if you're convicted of a felony, that's going to have a negative impact on your medical license. Just an assumption there. And in Florida, if it's under $5,000, then you can still be charged with a third-degree felony because this is identity theft. And you can have a punishment up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. Now, I'm assuming she's not going to be in prison for 5 years, but that's just alone having your medical license. I would hope a felony would negatively impact your medical license over just a $1,000, a 1 week $1,000 stupidity pill.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's circle back just a little bit. I'm with you, Thomas. The medical license has got to go at this point because you can't be trusted, because here's what she did, because we alluded to it, but I don't know if we directly said it. Once she got the checks from her boss, anytime you write somebody a check, it has your name on it, your address on it, your bank account number, and your bank routing number. So in theory, anybody who has a check of yours, they could actually put your bank account and routing number into a bill payment system and start paying bills from using your checks. So that's kind of dangerous, right?
Well, I'd also sit here and worry about, yes, this is a small amount and everything else, but now do you have to worry about her figuring out how to do something else like Medicaid fraud or insurance fraud? I mean, we know how this goes. As people get money, sometimes it ends up getting larger and larger, and they find more ways of feeding their bad habits.
Yeah, I applaud the owner for actually reporting this. She could have easily just fired her. And I mean, if you have a reasonably successful business, $1,000 isn't going to make you close your doors. So she could very easily just write off the expense and keep going and just fire her, and that's it. But I'm glad that she didn't, because like Christine said, you just don't know what this could have led to if she was allowed to basically get away with it.
Yeah. All right. So look, let's look at some people that we have here today. We hadn't even talked to our audience today, and that's just my fault. Carol is here. Hey, Carol. Ann is here. Alaba is here. Alaba's here over on your account, Thomas.
Nice.
And so is Bob. Bob Wessler. We hadn't seen Bob in a while. Bob, we got to get you back on the show too. Bob said stupidity bill is a good way to put it, right? Okay. So let's get on a somewhat of a serious note, because there were a lot of red flags here, and to me, in my opinion, but I really wonder if this young lady is okay, because now her life is ruined by what she did. And I'm looking at a few things. So one, the 4 transactions or 5, however many transactions, they were for some interesting things: cell phone bill and storage. It makes me wonder if maybe she was kind of living out of a storage unit or something like that, or if she had lost her home and had put everything in storage and was afraid of losing everything. Now, granted, she's a criminal, but you still got to have some compassion, right? And then when I saw her mugshot too, it's just something like that. And I'm not, Thomas is giggling. I'm not trying to be funny. This doesn't look like a well person to me.
Well, she does have her social media page. I shouldn't say social media, but she's got her. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it all depends on when they get you. Like, I don't look this good when I wake up in the morning.
well, I wake up like this. I'm sorry. I
know.
Let me say.
How dare you?
oh man. And Kimberly's here. Hey, Kimberly. But no, seriously, okay. So putting everything together, she only stole a little over $1,000. She used it to pay for a cell phone bill and a few storage units. Then she's a medical doctor, and she was working as the facility director. Again, that's not too unusual. Sometimes when physicians get burned out as clinicians, they'll have director roles and they'll do the administrative stuff, make sure all the coding and billing and all the patient scheduling is okay. So I do get that. And then when you see her mugshot compared to her other pictures on social media, it makes you wonder what's happening. Like, why such a small amount? I'm really intrigued by that. And then Alaba's got it head on. It wasn't worth her license. No.
Yeah. Well, so here's an interesting tidbit about her. She has a medical license in, what is WY, Wyoming? So she has it in Wyoming, Pennsylvania, New York, and Florida. Dang. Is it normal to have a medical license in multiple states? And that's from 2016 to, active through 2016 and active through 2026. So that's a little odd to me as well. Is that normal in the medical profession?
I'm wondering if it's like, Rob, you have your CPA, right? So like for you, there's certain states that are there certain states with your CPA that have reciprocity that if you pass it in one state, you just have to pay the extra 50 or whatever to be licensed in another one? I wonder if that's the same. Or your teledoctors, I'm guessing would have to have multiple state licensing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I keep forgetting we live in the digital age now. That is a very good point for teledocs. Now Bob is saying spot on though. If she hadn't been caught, the amount would have gotten bigger. Yeah.
I almost wonder, and this is just pure speculation on my part, right? There's no evidence at this at all, but I wonder if she's not done things at other spots before, and they just didn't report her. Hence the bouncing around.
Kelly's book talks about that a lot with the pink collar crimes.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. But okay. By this point, though, I think the amount that she would have stolen may have been bigger, like go big or go home. If you had enough practice in, I don't know. Maybe she just wanted to see if she would get away with it here. But okay, if she was the office manager, she would have had knowledge of how much money was coming in. And if the owner was able to notice $1,000 missing from a business account, that tells me that the business wasn't entirely too liquid. So something had to be mentally wrong with her to know that there wasn't that much cash flowing through, and she still took a big chunk of it, enough for the owner to notice. And that's why I'm going back to something mentally is not right, or she's in a desperate situation.
Right.
Yeah, something's not right. I agree. I definitely agree with you, Rob.
Okay, now Ann says, yeah, sounds like she was testing the waters. Yeah, I think she was, but I just don't know. Why would you test it at a facility where you had knowledge that the cash flow wasn't that much and it would tip somebody off? And if she was truly about to go to Alaska, why would she pay the storage unless the storage was so far past due that they were about to take her property that was in the storage and she needed it to get to Alaska? But here's what's really interesting. On this one, we actually have a copy of the police report because, police, they have to write stuff up, and he had to write up what's called a probable cause statement. So check it out. It actually is very thorough. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger for everyone. It won't go any bigger. Okay. So I'll read it. It says, Phipps confirmed her information, which is the accused, including her phone numbers, current and past addresses, Verizon, FPL, and public storage units. She advised that she doesn't believe anyone else has been given access to her accounts, but she stated she was hacked sometime in January. So this is what the lady was telling the cops. She confirmed she was only paid by Shoemate, who was the victim, by check. She denied any involvement in the fraudulent charges, even though they are all different entities in which she is the sole owner. Phipps was advised that she was under arrest and placed in the handcuffs, which were double spaced. Look at that. He double spaced and checked for spacing. She was ultimately turned over to the Palm Beach County Jail. Then it says, pursuant to this investigation, I find probable cause to charge Virginia C. Phipps with fraudulent use of personal identification information. Phipps utilized the victim's bank account information to make payments to her personal Verizon account, 3 personal public storage units, and her FPL, Florida Power and Light, bill for her residence. Oh, for her residence. I missed that part last time I read this. Then it says she did willfully and without authorization fraudulently use or possess with the intent to fraudulently use personal identification information concerning Christy Shoemate without first obtaining Shoemate's consent, contrary to Florida statute. Then it lists out the statute. So he did a good job writing that police report.
Yeah. I like how detailed they are. Double cuffed her. Like we didn't. CYA doesn't hurt.
Yeah. I'm with Alaba. This really wasn't worth her license like that.
Yeah, now I was looking it up at a felony offense, especially a third-degree felony offense, does not guarantee any type of damage to her license or like revokes her. It could, but it's not automatic.
Question. Devil's advocate here. We see all these fraud stories and everything else. I know you guys know I sometimes with some of the sentencing that hears, I'm like, they didn't get enough time, blah, 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 blah. Are we going to start seeing people that are going to just commit fraud and be like, the risk, what I can get out of it is worth the time or the slap on the wrist that I could end up getting?
Probably.
I mean, if she's in the medical community, I'm sure they've heard stories about this. It'd be no different than people doing fraud in manufacturing if they work in manufacturing. Like, is that a possibility?
Well, think about medical billing. It feels like it's an accepted practice to walk that line with medical billing and to bump up your revenue whenever needed. And I'm not saying it's overly accepted, right? But there's some gray areas with some of the medical billing where they increase it. If you get caught doing it, are you going to be able to get another job at another facility? Possibly.
Right.
So yeah, I could definitely see where some of this is. Yeah, it's you keep it small. You try not to go too big, so that way the fines or the punishment isn't too big, and you hope you don't get caught. I mean, how many of us go 5-10 miles an hour over the speed limit?
Yeah. So I'm thinking about something else when it comes to this one. She was the director of a medical facility there in Jupiter, Florida. So I'm wondering if she has been committing fraud in her own clinic and just needed another job or some money. Here's what I mean. Here's her website, Phipps Health and Wellness. We help you achieve optimal health. We offer functional medicine. Now, obviously, this isn't the woman she was working for. This is her own clinic.
Yep.
So if you look, the blog has dates of August of 2023 on it, which means she either still has her own clinic or had her own clinic. I don't know how you could be a director in someone else's facility if you have your own facility. So maybe this facility of hers was going out of business because she couldn't fund it and she needed to get a job, and maybe she spent all of her money in her own facility, and that's why she needed to steal, and that's why she was allegedly steal, and that's why she was allegedly behind on her storage unit and her power bill and all that other good stuff. Because how can you work at two clinics at once? I know doctors hop between clinics, but how could you be a director of one clinic and run your own clinic, not be a doctor who happens to work at multiple clinics? Those are two totally different things.
There's a ton of different scenarios. Like I even sat here and thought in my mind, like maybe she took on taking care of a parent that she wasn't prepared for, had to get storage units, had to pay the stuff to get them out of their house, but still, I mean, yeah, it wasn't worth her license. Like,
yeah, she was even in U.S. News. Well, I guess you could pay to get put on here, but internal medicine, Jupiter Medical Center. That's another.
No, that's the same one, isn't it?
Oh, it's the same one. Okay.
That's the one that yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Affiliated with Jupiter. So why isn't her own practice listed then? Jupiter Medical Center is, but not her own practice. That's interesting. And if you go back to her page, she actually takes some health insurance, I believe. I thought I saw it on here somewhere. So I can't see it now. So it does make you wonder, like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was such a small amount. And then, do you not have friends or family that would give you like $1,000? Heck, I don't know if I do either, but I'm just asking.
It really is sad. You know, like the fact that she felt she was in a, or allegedly felt she was in such a situation, she had to essentially steal $1,000. Even just going to the boss and saying, "Hey, I made some stupid mistakes. Can you help me out for just $1,000? Give me an advance or something instead of doing this." Yeah, it's
Well,
strange.
and then also on top of that, imagine she didn't even, or maybe didn't even have a credit card with $1,000 line on it open. Because wouldn't you have just put it on a credit card?
True.
You know? And then Amber brings up a good point. If that's the case, if she was helping parents, she could have opened up a GoFundMe. Because there are people who are sending money to GoFundMe for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Ooh, is she a? I don't want. I'm afraid to click on her LinkedIn profile here, but according to part of it, she's on a medical board.
Ooh. Yeah, this is getting kind of sad because something's off, and I don't know what, but I mean, the evidence is there, so.
Yeah. It's taking me forever to find the board information. Where is?
Now, the victim has said that. Here's a quote from her. She said, "When you do write someone a check, you're basically handing them all of your personal information. So you've got your name, your address, your checking routing number, your account number, and you've given this to a good person. Hopefully, they'll do good with it. And if not, they won't." So she Oh, and here's the part about Alaska. Okay, so the victim said she told my assistant, because she called her boss and the boss's assistant. She told my assistant and my client, who was here at the time, that she was moving to Alaska, and I don't know why. I don't care why. But since then, another person has come forward and said that she was supposed to be moving on May the 1st, Thursday. So I'm thankful for the Jupiter Police Department for getting this wrapped up prior to all that happening.
Yeah.
But also, go
Sorry,
ahead.
but
Also, the boss said that to her knowledge, she didn't believe that the woman was taking any clients for the past few months. So now the boss is saying, okay, she was here, but I don't think she was actually seeing clients, which that might be okay too if she was the facility director. Maybe she was spending so much time directing that she didn't actually do hands-on clinical patient care. But the boss is making it seem like it had been a few months like she had in the past. So all of these things just sound a little troubling.
Yeah, it sounds like she's got something going on personally. It sounds like, if you're not taking on new clients, if you're stealing $1,000 and presumably making pretty good money, yeah, there's a lot to the story that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, because I mean, personally, I'm taking on all the clients that I can. So if you need to book somebody for training. Christine is looking for something. She should.
I'm looking. You guys can tell when I'm researching, can't you?
Uh-huh.
Rob really loves when we're both researching because all of a sudden it gets kind of quiet.
Oh, I don't like that. That means I have to talk.
So what other states did you say that she had the license in?
New York, Pennsylvania, and I think WY is Wyoming. All right.
Just wondering if she's got anything else in other states. Hence why moving.
Yeah.
Around. I shouldn't say moving around. I should say hence why she's been licensed in multiple states. Does that follow you around state to state? Like if it goes against her license, is it an overall board for the US or is it just, I'm guessing it's state specific?
Yeah,
Well,
your licenses are by state, but you
have to disclose though. You have to
Yeah.
disclose if you've been charged with or found guilty of a felony, even if it's third degree.
Yeah. So like, for example, my CPA license is in Maryland and I've never lived in Maryland. Whole nother story. We'll talk about that one day. Oh, it's nothing bad. But yeah. All right.
Hope not.
So now people are going to type in the chat. We want to know the story. Don't.
And next week.
On next week. So stay tuned, you guys. We've got a few episodes of Audit Bites coming up for Internal Audit Awareness Month. We're going to try and do 3 or 4 during the month instead of just the normal 2. So these you will get CPE for. What do you think about that, Alaba? You're going to attend, my friend? You'll get CPE for them, but they'll still be live too. I figured out a way to make that happen finally.
Nice.
So, oh, I see thumbs up on LinkedIn. All right. So what else about this story? Okay, hold on. Bob is saying, oh yeah, wait, but not licensed in Alaska. Yeah. She's moving to Alaska, but she wasn't licensed in Alaska. Good catch, Bob. We didn't.
Yeah.
Well, she might have had plans to change that. She might have had plans to get licensed when she was there.
But why Alaska? I actually know one person that lives in Alaska, but she actually is native to Alaska, right? That's the only place she was born and raised there.
Yeah, what was her specialty again? What was it?
Functional medicine and internal medicine.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe there's a need for those in Alaska.
I'm sure there's a need for everything in Alaska. I mean, it's
heaters, you know.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So what else on this one, you guys? If we got nothing else, we can close it out and tell everybody goodbye and see you next week. Because I don't know. So I'll tell you guys, Christine was just like, it's a low dollar amount, Rob. I was like, yeah, but look at the story. I was just intrigued.
Just goes to show. Because I was like, how would they going to charge you? And it was the identity theft. And I'm like, yeah, it's a good thing. Good way of getting around it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, Bob, you're right. Can't get much further away from Florida in the U.S. than Alaska. Yeah. I mean, wait, maybe Hawaii, though. Is that further? I don't know. Maybe it'd be a whole lot warmer in Hawaii, that's for sure.
So Alaska, new status. So I was seeing something saying that, yes, you could actually take your Florida medical license and it would transfer up to Alaska. Now I'm seeing contradictory information there, but one article I was seeing does say you can do that.
And Hawaii is further by 1,000 miles.
Ah, see, there you go. I would have chosen Hawaii.
A little bit warmer.
I would have done
Just
the
a
same
tad
thing.
bit. Yeah. Or maybe you could spend like summers in Alaska and winters in Hawaii.
Somebody from Alaska is going to be watching this or listening to it later, and they're going to send you a dirty email.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Come find me.
All I know is you were up in New Jersey and New York and talking to New York and stuff, and I was bad talking New York last week, so you never know what you can get away with.
Yeah, well, I made it back in one piece from the New Jersey chapter. It was their spring expo where I did the keynote speech. We had a very good time. The keynote speech I did was Activate Your Auditing Awesomeness. That's one that a lot of chapters love. And another one I have is called The Honest Auditor. That one dovetails into the new IA standard where I tell some stories of how honesty can cost you a whole lot. So if you're listening and you're at an IA chapter, both of those would do good for you. Reach out to me. rob@thatauditguy.com is my email address. Or if you're watching me on LinkedIn, you know you can just message me. I mean, it's, you know. All right, you guys. I think we beat this one to death. Just don't steal people's bank account and routing numbers. Like,
Yeah.
and on a serious note, though, if you do find yourself in some sort of trouble, reach out and ask for help. Now, granted, sometimes there is no help for you because sometimes people just don't care, but surely there's at least one person in your life that cares. So reach out and ask for help before you do
Rob,
something stupid.
Can I borrow $1,000?
Yeah. Christine, can I borrow $1,000? No.
No.
Okay, go hit my GoFundMe for $1,000 on behalf of Thomas. Thomas, we got. Never mind. I was about to say something. I can't do it. Okay, never mind. It's because somebody's gonna be real sensitive if I say this joke. So I'm just gonna leave that one alone. I'm not gonna go there. All right, we'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
See you later.